everybody. Happy New Year's, New Year's Day. Very exciting. And happy 2024 to all of the listeners of the Hallmarkies podcast. And we have a very special ranking for you today. And I'm Rich Wagner, and Terry's here.
Hi.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Did you have a good holidays?
Pretty good. Yeah, can't complain.
Yeah, you came out you came out unscathed. Barely.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, right. Well, what we thought would be fun for this holiday ranking episode is we thought it would be fun to go through our top 12 favorite New Year's movies. And that could be interpreted however we wanted to interpret it. Whether the scene, had a lot of New Year's or there was just one pivotal scene or whatever we wanted to do. So we made a little short list, which I'll put the short list link in the description. If you want to do your own list, we'd love to hear that. If you do a blog or a podcast or whatever you want to do with your own list, we'd love to hear it. Put in the comments or on Twitter. And yeah, let's. I think it's a good holiday because for movies, I think it's very cinematic because you're all
Yes.
leading up to this big moment, and there's usually a kiss involved, so that kind of adds. It makes for I think a good timetable for
Yeah,
your drama. Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
There's not that many films that are solely about the holiday
Yeah.
or, about the day itself, but,
Yeah.
some major moments do happen on
Yeah.
that particular day in films that are important to the plot.
It's a
So,
nice backdrop
exactly.
for
Everybody
your
looks fancy,
yes.
unlike me, who's in my pajamas with uncombed hair. And
Yeah,
I'm old.
do you have any New Year's traditions that you do every
No,
year?
no, because I don't really. It's just not a holiday for me. I don't really get all the
Yeah.
celebrating. It's the end of the year. I get it. It's the beginning of the new year, but like I'll watch the ball drop and go to bed. Like I don't do anything. We've never done anything. Sometimes we went
Yeah.
to parties when we were little, but eh, you know.
Yeah, I do love I like the food of New Year's. Like I love like dips and appetizers. I'm a big fan of that. And
Right. I get, yeah, the
so
finger food. Yeah,
yeah.
true, totally.
So and but I've always said that I think the New Year's is actually a harder holiday to be single at than Valentine's, which people think is crazy, but it's I don't know, there's just more sort
Oh,
of like
yeah,
girls galentines and just sort of
yeah,
like love in general. Whereas like if you
yeah.
don't
Because
have
there's
a partner at a New Year's thing,
yeah.
like it just sucks.
Yeah, because it's such a party
It
holiday
is.
to like such like a joint party holiday. It's true,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And there's a
But
lot
since
of
I don't really celebrate it, it's
yeah.
fine.
This year, I'm excited. We're recording this before the holiday, full disclosure, but I'm excited. I'm actually going to there's this new theater I'm very, very excited about called Maven Cinemas that are showing vintage, mostly vintage releases. And it's so cute. It's this couple, and their dream was to have a little theater, and it's a two-screen
Awesome.
little theater, and you should see the lineups. Oh my gosh, if you lived here, we would be having a ball.
I'd be there every
Like,
day, if
yeah,
I
we
could afford
really
it.
would. And my
I'd be
goal is to
there.
go, yeah, my goal is to go every week in 2024. That's my goal
Oh
because
yeah, to support that. That's such a
yeah,
great,
I
yeah,
I
that's a
really
great
want
idea.
it to be successful. And anyway, they're doing a special New Year's Eve masquerade event party, whatever,
Oh,
with Phantom of
that
the
sounds like
Opera.
fun. Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, so
Great.
perfect.
Oh, that like, oh,
So
now I'm jealous, Rachel, because
yeah,
that's the type of stuff that I would
yeah, we would have
love.
so much fun. And I don't even, I mean, I actually like Phantom of the Opera more than most. But I mean, the singing is not the best. So that's a bummer, but
There is
it's fun.
this it's the that's the newer version, right? The full musical
Hmm.
one.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, because I think that's the best out of all the films they did.
Hmm.
The Phantom of the Opera. But I
Yeah,
have a love for that. I know it's not great. It's a little cheesy, but I love
yeah.
all of that atmosphere.
It's gonna be really fun. I'm excited. So
Yeah.
that'll be my
Oh,
years.
yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be sitting on the couch, Rachel. Probably eating some chocolate.
Yeah, I'll toast to
Um,
you.
yeah. Having made cookies and like over 100 cookies and then only having one while they all disappear.
Yeah, your family likes your cookies, I think. But there's nothing better than going to Trader Joe's for New Year's. Like, and all of the dips and appetizers I try to go to Trader Joe's and I try to go to Cost World Plus Market,
Yeah.
World Market, because they have like all different kinds of yummy, like
I
international treats and so
I have
between
not
the
gone to Trader Joe's to look for that. I mean, usually I go and I'm like, can't have this, it's too
oh
expensive. Can't and see I nitpick everything to
Oh,
death and then I end
I
up getting
love
it.
Trader
I end
Joe's.
up getting it. I always complain about this is too much money and
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Ho, ho, ho! We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind the scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Right. Well, let's dive
at
in. What do you have at number 12?
number 12, I have it's a movie that I find I don't love as much as everybody else, but it's About Time.
Hmm.
Came out in 2013. It stars
Yes.
Donald Gleason, Rachel McAdams, Bill Nye, a whole bunch of famous British people and Australian people. Basically, it's about on New Year's Day,
Yeah.
Bill Nye tells his son, like, hey, the men in our family can time travel,
Hmm.
or it's New Year's Eve or something. And he's like, excuse me? And he doesn't believe it. So basically, it is a romance movie because he does meet up with Rachel McAdams and then he does something to help a friend by time traveling to support him. And it's a race to find Rachel McAdams again because there was such a connection. And the romance of the movie is all right, but I think the second half of the film is where it really shines because he uses his time traveling to try to help his sister, and that goes
Yeah.
kind of astray. But the bond he has that he begins to have with his father, where they learn more about
Hmm.
the time traveling and how his father uses time traveling, like to read every book written more than
Hmm.
once, or and how he uses it. And just the bond of the family, I think, works so much better than the romance of it. Not that the romance
Hmm.
is bad, but I do think the second half of the movie is stronger than the first. So
I
it's
can
it's
see
a real
that. Yeah.
it can be
It's
teary, with the
hmm
if you've lost a parent or you miss that bond or even if your parent is alive, like
yeah.
the closeness that he then like later in life once he becomes a parent, he views his father in a new light and all that. And it's touching. I found it touching.
Yeah, I have this higher up.
Yeah.
I actually hadn't watched it until was it last year or the year before? I was kind of late on it. But I do think that they have a lovely chemistry, the two of them.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the relationship between him and his dad, Bill Nye, is great.
Yeah.
And it's so heartwarming. It's such a good story.
It truly is.
Yeah, I
And the best part of it is that he makes mistakes, but he like takes to heart the lessons he learns and he uses those lessons in his life and stuff. And
yeah.
I mean, I don't know what
And
I would do if I had that ability to time travel like he did, And of
yeah.
course, there's rules to the time traveling that he has in this movie, but it's an interesting idea for sure.
Yeah, and you get to see young Margot Robbie
Oh my
in
gosh, yes,
this.
Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's in this movie.
Yeah, and I think that if people are nervous because it is rated R, it's pretty tame.
It is,
It's
for
pretty tame.
sure.
There's one scene of sensuality, and well, one longer scene, and some language, but it's pretty tame. It's pretty tame,
Yeah.
and it's just such a good story. It's so well written. So yeah, I definitely can see why it made your list. My number 12 is about a boy. And I love this movie. It's based on Nick Hornby novel, which I also love. He's such a good writer. And Hugh Grant, and I'd kind of forgotten that I remembered had Christmas in it, but I forgot that New Year's is where he meets the Rachel Weisz character. And the whole thing about this movie is that he is like this confirmed bachelor who has chosen to do nothing in his life. Like that is his life choice.
All
And
right.
yes, his father wrote this Christmas jingle that has
Oh,
given him royalties so that he
what a
can
life.
live this like really simple life, and he thinks of everything in terms of digits, in terms of like I spent so many digits, time digits, and doing this. That was two credits, and then getting his hair cut was so many credits and whatever. And he instead of really thinking about like what matters in life and making a difference and all of that, but then one day he kind of gets this boy becomes kind of thrust upon him through various contrivances, and Toni Collette plays a single mom. And you think that, oh well, will the relationship be between the single mom and him and Hugh Grant, but it's not. He meets Rachel Weisz, and she's like the perfect woman, and they meet at New Year's at a New Year's party, and they're all talking about like resolutions and what are you doing with your life, and he's like, I do nothing for my life. He's all embarrassed, and slowly his sort of life philosophy gets kind of whittled down,
Okay.
and it's just so good. It's such a good movie. Great script, great performances, great
I
soundtrack.
I have not seen this movie. It's like a
Yeah, you
blind
got to
spot
see
for me.
it.
It is a
Yeah.
blind spot. I know I'd like it because I've seen some other adaptations from Nick Hornby's
Hmm. I love both of the
books.
fever pitch, both the British and American.
Oh, I think I only saw the American version of
Yeah,
that
you
one. I
should see
think it's been a
the
while.
the British one is about football slash soccer, and it's
Yeah.
with Colin Firth as the and of course the American one, Drew Barrymore, and that one, and Jimmy Fallon, and that one is so fun because they had planned, that he was like, he's obsessed with the Red Sox, and
Yeah.
and then they completely kind of changed around the script because the season that they were filming, they like won.
I
It was
know.
this
Yeah, I
amazing
remember that.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Oops.
They hadn't won in like 40 years.
Oh, and I know. What a time. I remember that time.
Sure.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah. But all right, what do you have at 11?
Number 11, I think I have a movie. I debated this one because I don't think it's aged quite well, and it has
Hmm.
two terrible sequels to it. But I picked Bridget Jones' Diary. I really
Yeah,
liked it back when it came
love
out,
it.
and it's adapted from a book. It's inspired by Jane Austen. The screenplay was written by Andrew Davis, who wrote the best version of Pride and Prejudice
Mhm.
in
I actually don't
1985.
hate the third one. The second one is terrible.
I
I
actually don't
will.
know if now I can't remember if I've actually watched the third one or not, or if I just think I watched it because I've seen the trailer so many times. I don't know.
It's
But
not like great, but it's the second one is really bad. It's racist and
yes, it
uncomfortable and not
totally
funny,
is.
and yeah,
And
yeah. But I have this one a lot higher.
yeah, so like I don't know if it's like because they keep calling her fat in this movie, and I'm like, oh,
Mm.
you know. They'd
Yeah,
still
that's
call her
fair.
fat today. Let's be honest. If they did this movie, she looked exactly the same. They'd still call her fat today. I don't quite know if it's aged well, but basically, it bookends. The movie starts and finishes with New Year's. And it's just
Yeah.
basically her life of love. I'm going to find a year in her life, writing in her diary. I'm going to find love. I'm going to lose weight. She has kind of a triangle. And I think Colin Firth and Hugh Grant are very, despite Hugh Grant being, what he is in this movie, I do think they're likable characters. And, of course,
Mhm.
Colin Firth is playing a version of Darcy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I mean it has the all the beats of your Pride and Prejudice. It's so
totally,
brilliant to
yeah,
have Colin
totally.
Firth playing Mark Darcy
Yep.
in this. Brilliant. And I think that what makes it work, if there are outdated elements, it owns it, and
Oh, yeah,
she learns and grows over the
totally.
course of the movie. And I think that it just has so many iconic scenes, like when she makes the blue soup. That's one of my favorite parts. I love that.
When she shows up dressed up as a Playboy bunny,
Blue, it's an underused food color.
oh man, the whole Christmas sweater thing that Colin
Yeah,
Firth is wearing at his
yeah.
parents' house, I think. Yeah.
His reindeer jumper.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah.
yeah. and
So
and I think the reason why I have it a lot higher is because I do think it is one that New Year's is like very prominent, because
very
she's setting
prominent.
these
Yes.
resolutions and
Yeah.
writing her diary and beginning and end, like you say.
And she's great in the movie.
I
Renee
mean,
Zellweger
she was
really
nominated
sells
for an
it.
Oscar for it.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, she was. She was.
Yeah. Actually,
So
she's great. She makes the movie. She's totally committed to it. And like I
mhm.
remember them saying she gained like 10 or 20 pounds for this movie. And I was like, how thin
Yeah.
was she before?
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Well, my number 11 is I have a movie that's called Carol.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
this is directed by Todd Haynes.
I
And
debated this one. Yeah.
yeah, I did too. The reason why I decided to include it, I do think it's a beautiful movie.
It is a beautiful movie.
It is very well made, and very well acted. And I think they have excellent chemistry.
Yeah.
And I decided to include it because the climactic moment of the
Oh, yeah.
movie is on New Year's.
Yes.
And when they finally do kind of declare their love and have and get together, is on New Year's. And these two just have wonderful chemistry, and you really feel for them. I think Kyle Chandler is excellent in this movie. He could have been such
Playing
a
a
throw.
very difficult character as
Yeah, it could have
well.
been such a throwaway character, just like
Yeah.
the homophobic
I mean, but given the
husband.
time frame of the
Yeah,
film, yeah,
he brings some humanity to the role,
totally.
and he's such a good actor in my opinion. Everybody's at the top of their game in this, and it might be considered kind of slow for some. There's not like a ton that happens. You just kind of have to go along for the ride. But it's beautiful and heartfelt, and like I
Yeah.
said, the New Year's is the climactic
Yeah,
part of the movie.
it's a joyous moment and then it turns into
Sad.
the sadness moment. And
Yeah.
I think I was debating whether or not to put this film because I don't know, I kind of find it more happens during the Christmas season. And I debated it, and then I chose not to, even though an important moment happens on New Year's. But
Yeah.
it's definitely an honorable mention. It's
Mhm.
great, and
Yeah.
the fact that she's fighting so hard for her daughter, and then decides at the time that this movie is set to know, I am who I am. I have to show my daughter,
Yeah.
how to be your true self, and she's just not taking it anymore. Because Carol can be a difficult character as well.
Yeah.
These characters are layered. And you don't,
Mhm.
it's a wonderful look into,
Yeah. And such
people.
and it's
Yeah.
such a well-made movie. This movie looks stunning.
Stunning.
Everything about it, the long
It's
shots and the costumes, everything
Yeah.
is
Stunning.
top notch. All right, what do you have at 10?
I have Happy New Year, Charlie Brown. This one's from 1986. I think this is the last movie that the original animators or the animator made before he passed away. So it's like the original collection, but it's like poor Charlie. He just cannot get any luck. Everyone's
Yeah.
excited that they're. I mean, it's a Peanuts classic. It looks classic. It's got the same feel to All Your Beloved. I think this one's a little forgotten for the holiday
Yeah.
specials, but everybody's excited for like the Christmas break. And Charlie's like, oh no, we got to do a book report on War and Peace. He's trying to find every avenue. Like he goes to a bookstore. Can I find a computer game? Can I get, whatever version of Cliff Notes was then back then? And he can't find anything. And he's being pestered to go to this New Year's party by Peppermint Patty. And he wants to, and I can't remember her name, but he wants to invite his crush. And she's like, no, I'm not going to go. And everything's going wrong. He gets to the
Yeah.
party. He goes outside. He's trying to read War and Peace and falls asleep. I feel you, brother. War and Peace is a hard read
Has anybody
because
actually read War and Peace?
I have read War and Peace. I hate a lot of those characters. I'm sorry. And I know it's great. It is great, but like I hate all of them characters.
Uh-huh.
But he falls asleep. He wakes up. He has missed everything. And then Linus is like, yeah, I danced with your crush. And he's like, my life sucks because he's a sad sack, sad sack
Yeah.
Charlie Brown. But, at the end of the day, he gets like a D- on his book report. And he's like, well, at least I tried and I didn't fail. I'm proud of myself. He's all calm. He's okay with what happened. And then right at the end, his teacher's like, well, you guys have to do a book report on crime and punishment, which sends Charlie into another tailspin. And that's how it ends. And you're like, come on, there's no love
Yeah.
for Charlie Brown in this.
You know what? I have seen this. I was thinking I hadn't seen it, but I have seen it because I remember the War and Peace part of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very Peanuts. If you
Yeah.
love the Peanuts, it's
I
great.
do. Yeah. Well, my number 10, I actually have An American in Paris. And this movie, it's a lot of people don't like it because it doesn't have like a ton of plot. It really
Yeah.
is like dance focused.
Beautiful
I
looking,
mean,
yeah.
there's literally an entire ballet in
Yeah.
the movie.
Well, it's Gene Kelly.
Yeah, but it's so well done. But it really is. I just could not have it on this list because
Yeah.
the New Year's party is so epic. The costumes, the black and white costumes are incredible, and I just think it's so crazy. There's this at the very beginning of the New Year's party. There's this woman who just like leaps off of the balcony into this guy's arms. Like I'm like, was that
So
choreographed or what
majestic.
was happening?
Yeah.
Like things are crazy. And so yeah, there's this big party where I'm trying to remember exactly what I can't even remember something about the
Yeah.
the various love life shenanigans, whatever.
This didn't make my list because it's been so long since I watched it. I really
Yeah.
can't remember the details. And I was like, I don't think it's fair for me to put it on the list.
Well, I actually, it wasn't that long ago I reviewed it for family movie night.
Yeah.
But I still the details are still somewhat fuzzy, but I do remember that New Year's scene. The party
Yeah.
is a party, and that woman leaping off of the balcony, I remember.
I mean, kudos to
So-
Gene Kelly. Like he
absolutely.
really loved to showcase ballet and his
Mhm.
love of dance. So it's going to
Yeah.
be beautiful looking on that end.
Yeah. So what do you have at 9?
I have Waiting to Exhale
Oh, okay.
at number 9. It also New Year's bookends this movie,
Uh-huh.
and it's based on
She
a
like
book.
destroys the guy's car, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
based on a
okay.
book by Terry McMillan. So it's a very famous writer, famous book.
Mhm.
And this is the first film that Forrest Whitaker directed. But it stars like Whitney Houston, Angela Bassett, Loretta Devine, Layla Rochon, I think, and
Mhm.
a bunch of other people. But basically, these 4 friends, it starts with like New Year's and like, we've got to change our life, or all their hopes and dreams that don't come to fruition. Like Whitney Houston is dating a married man, and she's got to decide, and she dumps him and rediscovers her new self, that she can make it on her own because she has a dream that this man will leave his family for her, and he's not. And Robin, who's played by Layla Rochon, is also seeing a married man, and she ends up pregos, but she decides to raise the baby on her own. And Gloria, played by Loretta Devine. She's a single. See, this hasn't aged that well, this particular plot line. She's like a single mom. She's afraid to let her son go. And she has to forgive her ex-husband, who she thought was bi, but has admitted that he's gay. So that's a whole type of, it's
Right.
from a movie from 1995,
Yeah.
Not that one wouldn't be upset if you were with many years with a person and they said, you're allowed to feel sad and upset if your partner says, we can't be married anymore because I'm gay. I mean, you're allowed to feel those emotions when you
Sure.
live a life together. But, the way it's handled is very 1995-ish,
Yeah.
And then, of course, Angela Bassett has the best role, as Bernie. Like, she has given up her career for her family and her husband, and her husband leaves her for a white woman, which puts her into a major tailspin. And she burns his car and his clothes, and it's that epic moment with Angela Bassett just looking fierce, burning up that car. But eventually she learns how to forgive and love. And it's just basically a year in the life of these four women. It's I think they are also great. You believe that friendship. Whitney Houston is pretty good in it. I mean, she didn't make many films, Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
It was touch and go with certain
Right.
performances, but she's good here. But with the real stars, Angela Bassett and Loretta Devine, who like deliver. But I think that it's a fun movie, to see
Yeah.
these women, like, they think they're all in a good place when the movie starts, but only towards the end do they realize, we've made changes and we're for the better.
Yeah, I've seen that. It's been a while, but I
Yeah.
remember
There's a lot going on.
I remember that.
I tried to fit as much as I could in the script. There's a lot going on.
It was good. Yeah, I remember the car burning scene.
Oh yeah, that's
So,
like the
yeah.
best moment because he
Yeah.
like he kind of deserves it at the end,
Yes. Well, my number 9 is where I have the Poseidon Adventure. I
Oh.
just watched this for our listeners to the podcast. Will have just heard my recap with Greg McBride. Every year we pick a New Year's movie, so we'll probably be doing a bunch of these, and we have done some already. But and we not only we preview the upcoming January releases for Hallmark, and then we recap a New Year's movie, and I look forward to every year. I love the tradition. I love talking to him. Anyway, this year he had suggested the Poseidon Adventure. I had never seen it,
Right.
and so I watched it, and it's a really well done disaster movie, and
Totally.
it does all start on. There's a big New Year's
Yep.
party. It's the everything begins at
It all
New
takes
Year's.
place in a day, really.
Yeah. And the characters are really strong, and I feel like now, I mean, I guess we do sometimes have like populist kind of movies, like Top Gun Maverick or something like that. They get nominated for Best Picture, but I don't know. I feel like that rarely would a movie like The Poseidon Adventure get. It was nominated for
nowadays,
like
yes.
It was nominated
Totally.
for 8 Oscars.
Totally, because it
Yeah.
was
It was
this
really
movie.
good. Yeah.
This movie is higher up on my list.
Yeah.
This movie I watched a ton as a kid, because it was from the same people who did The Towering Inferno, Earthquake. This movie started my love of the disaster film that I've had ever since. So like I watched Towering Inferno, and like they pioneered these type of special effects, and this is the time when you would get all these major stars and people who weren't even stars that are stars today, together to do these action-packed movies. And like what they accomplished, they really, like, this was a lot of new techniques at the time too.
Yeah.
What we take for granted today, they were really mastering it and pioneering it. Like the way because there's a rogue wave, that capsizes the boat all on this New Year's, and then you have this group of survivors, these group of people who say we gotta go, and the rest stay behind. And of course, they all drown. Spoilers for like a mega old movie, by the way.
But it builds tension so well, and there's real stakes.
Yes,
and
Gene Hackman is battling with his fate because he's a preacher, and Ernest Borgnine is a cop who married a prostitute who he locked up, but he's giving her a new set of life, and he loves her regardless. And there's that whole thing where she's like, some of my old Johns are on this show. What a coincidence! Like on this cruise,
she doesn't want to get out. She goes,
Shelley Winters was nominated for supporting Oscar
She
for
was
actress for
excellent.
this. Yeah, she's excellent. She's like a hero. She goes out in a
And
highlight, you know.
it's got Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka.
Yes, you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, the people
Exactly.
are in here. And I always love this movie. And I would say if you're going to like, because some people are very, I have heard the argument, like, I don't know if I want to watch this type of, I mean, I think it's 1972. Yeah. So it's not like it's old, but it's not like super old, like the 30s or 40s. Like they're afraid the action won't
Oh
hold up.
no,
And
it
I'm like, oh, it
definitely
looks cheesy. And I was like, no, action movies today
look way
age
cheesier.
poorly. By the following year, they look terrible. This movie still looks good.
Yeah, because
You
it's I mean they did win an Oscar for visual effects,
Yeah.
which was very deserved, but
It's
like
miniatures.
for the most part it's like real stuff that
real
stuntmen and
stuff.
stuff
Yeah,
are
it's
doing.
not
Yeah.
it's not ugly CGI. I mean, it sounds like I'm trashing this because not every movie's made the same, but like I
Yeah.
think action movies today or disaster movies today rely too much on that, and
Yeah.
that's why they don't age as well. Where this one, if you want to start watching classic like these adventure movies, this is a good one to start because it looks good, it still holds up, and
And good characters. You might have a movie
well developed.
Yeah, you might have a movie now like Dead Reckoning, which I enjoyed. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, but the characters I mean, I don't know. I don't really care about those characters, but the stunts were unbelievable. But here you've got actual like characters that you care about, and so
Yeah, these people are
yeah, it's a good
really.
movie.
I guess Tom Cruise really does dangle in the Mission Impossible movies, but these people are also really dangling up
Yeah.
high.
Yeah, exactly. All right, what do you have for 8?
My 8 is While You Were Sleeping.
Yeah, so good.
Which is so funny.
It's a perfect film.
Perfect. I mean, it could also be considered, I was really thinking about it, it can be considered kind of as a Christmas movie as well.
Yeah.
But it's Sandra Bullock, and she's lonely, she has no family, nothing in her life. She works as she collects the fare, the tickets or whatever. I'm thinking that job probably doesn't exist anymore at the train station.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
It's automatic.
Token
it's probably
taker.
it's probably a job gone. But
Well,
anyway,
they probably don't even have the tokens anymore. It's probably just
no,
all on
I don't think
phones.
so. No, it's
all
the
on
cards
apps.
now.
I'm sure it's all on an app.
On apps and cards. So,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, man, that's kind of it's like the toll collectors on the highways. Those are jobs long gone. But basically, she's lonely, and Peter Gallagher is this hot guy she sees all the time, and she fantasized about what could it be with them together. It's like a crush. He falls off the tracks, and she saves his life and takes him to the hospital, and his crazy family is there. And she blurts out quite by accident, I was going to marry him.
I was going to marry
this guy because
she wants to.
She's like, yeah, that's her fantasy, her crush that she was going in. It just happens to come out, and the family's like, oh, you guys are engaged. Oh my gosh. And it's like, how am I going to and then she gets this family embraces her and she doesn't have any. And she's like, how am I going to get out of this? And she's finally got family and she's not lonely because it's a great film about loneliness too.
Yeah.
And
I think this, I mean, I say it's a perfect film. I really believe that there's the only thing that I might dial down a little bit is the ex-girlfriend's a little over the top. But other than that, I absolutely love this script. I think it is so good. And I think it does show loneliness better than almost any film I can think of. The way that she talks about it. And when she's just like watching them open Christmas presents. I had this in my modern Christmas list. Because I think that scene is so important to the overall story, and it was such amazing chemistry in Bill Pullman and Sandra Bullock.
It's a rom-com, but they really hit you with with the feels. They really make it authentic. And of course she falls in love with the brother, Bill Pullman. I love the fact we're like, he's got a cat. They're trying to because of course he's in a coma. And he really is trying to get engaged to someone else.
Fluffy.
And the joke of the movie is he's really trying to get engaged to somebody else. And then he wakes up and they're like, you have amnesia because you can't remember her. And it all ends. It has a big scene at New Year's where everything comes to light. And
Well, that and then also, well, no, the scene at New Year,
Well,
the scene at
yes.
New Year's is when
Yes.
he tells everybody. Well, when he says that you're pregnant.
Yeah, oh, that's right. I almost forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. So he tells everybody at the New Year's party that she's pregnant, and he's like, "Why did you think I was pregnant?"
Yeah, I almost forgot about it. It's been a bit since I've seen this, but yeah, there's a lot happening on the
Yeah. And then they have the big wedding.
I forgot about it. Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Because he asks her like, "Oh, I guess we should get married," and she accepts, even though she's starting to fall in love with Bill Pullman. But she's so into this lie. Like,
Yeah.
in reality, you would be like, "This lady needs help." But it's a movie.
I adore it. I adore it.
We'd like to take a second to thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's author Jennifer Snow and her book, An Alaskan Christmas. In Alaska, it's always a white Christmas, but the sparks flying between two reunited friends could turn into red hot in best-selling author Jennifer Snow's An Alaskan Christmas. If there's one gift Erica Sheraton does not want for Christmas, it's a vacation. Ordered to take time off, the workaholic surgeon reluctantly trades in her scrubs for a ski suit and heads to Wild River, Alaska. Her friend Cassie owns a tour company that offers adventures to fit every visitor, but nothing compares to the adrenaline rush Erica feels on being reunited with Cassie's older brother, Reed Reynolds. Gone is the buttoned-up girl Reed remembers. His sister's best friend has blossomed into a strong, skilled, confident woman. She's exactly what his search and rescue team needs and everything he didn't know he craved. The gulf between his life in Wild River and her big city career is wide, but it's no match for a desire powerful enough to melt two stubborn hearts. So this holiday season, get your steamy, spicy rom-com fix with An Alaskan Christmas from author Jennifer Snow. And you can find it wherever you purchase your holiday reads or using the affiliate link below.
All right, my number 8 is where I have High School Musical.
Never seen one High School Musical.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. I'm a big sort of defender of the DComs. I think that they are really quality, not all of them, but I think quite a few of them are really quality, made for for teens and tweens, I guess.
I used to watch a whole bunch of them, even into my 20s, but I kind of fell off when I lost the Disney Channel. And I've been slowly making my way in, rewatching some of the classics, because I was a full-grown adult and I was loving Halloween Town, so, but the High School Musical era passed me by.
Yeah, I was also a full-grown adult when this came out.
No shame in it. No shame.
I was 25, but
no shame in it. Because I'm watching those Descendant movies, Rachel, and I'm I'm in my 40s watching them Descendant movies.
My sister was like 7 when the first one came out, so she was like the perfect age. And she got into them, and so we kind of watched them together. And I love the songs; are really catchy, and especially this first one, the songs are really catchy. You can totally see why it became a phenomenon. It's a great cast, and the whole movie starts out on New Year's. They are vacationing and there's this like karaoke thing at the lodge or whatever that they're staying at, and they end up karaokeing together, Vanessa and Zach, and then she turns up. It's kind of like Grease in a lot of ways, but and then she turns up at his school. And he's like, oh, and she is the nerd, the math nerd, but she doesn't want to make she'd had a bad experience in her previous school, so she doesn't want to make any waves. But she's a great singer. And then he is the jock basketball player, and they both end up trying out for the High School Musical, and of course, so, but it all starts at New Year's.
I do feel like I want to catch up with this. I feel like I am missing something by not watching these movies. Now, do they all get less than the first one, or are they all equally good?
Well, some people like the second and third ones better than the first one. I'm not in that camp. But I would say that they're all solid. They're all entertaining. The third one has the most production values because it was actually released in theaters. It was But I think that the first still has the catchiest songs, in my opinion. But they're all watchable. They're all fun.
I feel like I wanted, because I watched that beach one that they had. I found that cute.
Teen
here's
Beach
another.
Movie. I love those.
Yeah. Yes.
I love
And so I
those.
watched only the one. I know there's a sequel to it, and I was like, I watched that one. I enjoyed that one, and I was like, I should get into these.
Yeah.
It's not like I feel above it. I just never have been able to catch up to it. I feel like
Yeah.
I've passed it by. And like for me
Yeah.
to revisit it now,
If you've
so
seen
many
The
years later.
Descendants, I think that the High School Musical are definitely
Well,
better
I
than
had
The
to.
Descendants.
Like, I had to see that, by myself, eating popcorn. Sure.
I mean, they're fun enough, but I think High School Musical are better.
Great cast too, though. Like a lot of these guys have become
huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And I kind of like seeing Zac Efron today, and I'm like, how did I miss this entire era of him? Like from the High School Musical.
Yeah, you can see him in Iron Claw right now.
Yeah.
Ooh, that one.
Oh, I might go see that
movie,
today.
But it is.
Yeah. I might go. I'm debating whether to see that or Poor Things today.
Ooh,
and I don't
that is
know.
quite the contrast.
I know. It's like I said, I got to see them before they both leave, and I just don't know. Do I want to be super depressed?
Super depressed, or I don't know.
Or contemplative.
Poor Things is just crazy. I did recommend it, but it's bonkers. All right, what did you have at 7?
This is a movie I remembered last minute, and I love this franchise. It's After the Thin Man. This is the second movie. I think there's 6. It's 6 movies. This is from 1936, so it's still a little pre-code. I mean, it's based on a book. It's like it's a fast-paced detective, and it's hysterical. And it's William Powell, and Marina Loy, who have the greatest chemistry. They did a bunch of movies together. They're great. It also has a very young James Stewart in it. And I don't even know how to explain the plot of this movie, but it all takes place on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And basically, like, Nick used to be like a con man, a detective, whatever. He was a man of like wonky, questionable trades, but he married a rich girl, now runs her father's company. They're very happy. And he's forced to like have New Year's Eve dinner with her disapproving family. And her cousin Selma's like, my husband's been missing. And her ex-fiance is like, I think she's found somebody else. And her ex-fiance is like, I will pay him to divorce her. And so Nora's badgering Nick, and they go try to locate this man, and he's having an affair with another woman called Polly, who's trying to steal the money that he's getting to divorce his wife, and murder is afoot, and I can't even go, like, so many in-betweens. And the fact that Nora wants to help with the investigation too, and then he doesn't want her to like get hurt, but yet she solves some stuff as well. And it's like so witty, so much fast banter. And, you want to see James Stewart play perhaps a questionable role, which he really doesn't. He always plays good guys. He's not necessarily the good guy here. I don't want to give too many spoilers because I think people should run out and see this franchise because it is great. It still holds up. You can blink before you know it, this movie's over. It's that fast paced and that quick. And it's just comedy gold.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one. I've seen a couple of the Thin Man movies. Yeah. And they're excellent, but I haven't seen
they are
one.
excellent. They still hold up. I mean, they're so fun.
Yeah. My number 7 is Where I Have About Time. So we kind of talked about that, and great chemistry, good story. It's just really heartwarming. So what do you have at 6?
I have The Apartment at 6.
Okay.
This is a movie that we did not talk about for the classic rom-coms that everybody wanted, but I don't feel like it's a rom-com movie.
Yeah.
But it's directed by Billy Wilder. The premise of the movie is actually based on a true story. Look that up on who it's based on. It is very interesting. I won't give any spoilers, but the man ends up getting shot in the leg. But but anyway, so it stars Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine. It's got Fred MacMurray, and basically Jack Lemmon works in a place. He's trying to get up there at work, trying to climb that ladder. And he lets his apartment out to his boss who's having an affair. The elevator lady's played by Shirley MacLaine, and he gets to know her. And boom, he finds out that she is the mistress.
Yeah.
And it's like a whole bunch of conflicting feelings. Yeah. And Shirley MacLaine is in like a terrible relationship with this guy she's having an affair with.
You'll
You
never
know,
think
she-
of Fred McMurray the same after
No,
this
no,
movie.
definitely not. Like I grew up watching like My Three Sons. So when I
Right?
watched this was because he played a lot of
And
like
Flubber
questionable
and stuff like
characters.
that. I mean,
Yeah, so
Asked
this
About
was
Your
the
Professor.
first movie I saw in him where he played a questionable person,
Oh, yeah.
which he actually had many film roles. He was a great villain or
Mhm.
like anti-hero or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But like this is the first like I was like, no, not My Three Sons, Dad,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
I
like
think
there's a
that the
fake
apart
suicide and it all comes to a head
yeah.
on New Year's.
Yeah. I think The Apartment is one of the finest films ever made. I mean,
Oh,
first of all,
yeah.
it looked absolutely stunning. I mean, that opening shot when you see just the rows and rows of typing machines
Yeah.
and just immediately who this character is. And I think what it does so effectively is that it starts out like so understandable. We all, I think almost anyone would be like, sure, you can use my apartment. What's the harm? Right.
Right.
And
You don't
then,
even think about it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then he makes one more compromising decision than another, but he's
Yes.
rewarded each time, and he ends up with the corner office and and until finally he can't accept the cost becomes more than the
Right.
temptation,
Because there's a
the
lot going
prize.
on. Yeah.
And I just think it has such great character moments, good writing, yeah, I don't think it's a rom-com.
No, I think it's
It's
much
pretty
more serious than
intense.
that. Especially because she tries to like there's a suicide attempt in it and
Yeah.
he helps her out. And it's very serious because
mean,
she's in a terrible relationship. He's a terrible person. I feel bad also for his wife and all that other stuff. But
There are funny moments like when he
yeah.
makes spaghetti with the tennis racket, or like
Oh my God, so
his
disgusting.
and his neighbor always thinking he's like this Lothario party animal, so there are
Yeah.
funny moments, but
There are funny
it's
moments,
more of
but
a drama. Like I
totally.
definitely think if we probably will do classic dramas eventually, a ranking, this will definitely
Totally.
I think it is so well made and well acted, and you'll see
Yeah.
I have it very high.
Oscar
And
nominated, yeah. I
I
mean, they
mean,
were
and New
nominated.
Year's is, I mean, I didn't have this on my Christmas list because even though he has a Christmas tree, you could make that argument. It is a New Year's movie.
Totally. It totally is. Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Yeah. I mean, the big breakup, she's at a New Year's party with Fred McMurray when
Yeah.
she realizes that,
Like, this isn't worth it.
yeah, that her
Because
life,
I know people like think of this movie as a rom-com, but I always viewed it as just a straight up romance, like
yeah, just
romances are more
drama.
dramatic and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, number 6 is where I have Sunset Boulevard.
Uh-huh. I thought about this one as well. Yeah.
One of the finest films ever made. Incredibly beautiful. The
Totally.
cinematography, just everything. Incredible performance from Gloria Swanson as this
Shame she didn't win that Oscar.
Norman Desmond.
Yeah.
And
legendary.
Yes, and she was a silent star. She's been aged out of roles, but she can't accept it. And
the talkies came too.
Yeah. And this reporter guy, he comes, screenwriter guy, he comes and he gets kind of
well,
I don't know what you call it. He gets kind of taken in by her. And
he sort of becomes kind of like this, as much as you could tell it in that time that came out, like kind of her boy toy. Like she thinks
I was trying to think of like the appropriate
but
words.
he's living in her house, he's lapping it up. As my people would say when events happen to him, bay fate, which means you kind of deserved it. Like you should have known better. Essentially, there's many reasons for that when something happens to you, which you should have known better. But but she thinks he's writing his comeback. Yeah, her comeback project.
The New Year's party, he thinks that people are going to come. It's all decked out. It's all, and then he realizes that he's the only one. That nobody.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Yeah, it's
and how she just tells him how she feels about him.
Yeah,
and he doesn't feel the same way because.
She's old and he's young man, and
he's a young man, and I feel bad for him, but in a sense, he's also using her. Not to say that he deserved the fate that he got in the end, but he
right.
is using her to a point. He's enjoying her house. He's living there. He's leading her on
Mhm.
by writing this, and when he tells her all that, it's so devastating, and she's so far gone already,
Mhm.
you know. And
Here's a question: do you think that? What do you think of the idea of doing the musical Glenn Close?
I have seen Glenn Close in.
Oh, you have?
I have. When she came back to be a couple of years ago now, when she came back to do it, I bought myself a ticket, and my goddaughter, who loves musicals, and she was ecstatic, and it was sort of a gift to her. And we went to go see it. We
Yeah.
loved it.
Oh, I'm sure.
I hope that she gets a chance to do it. I loved
Yeah.
it. It's campy. I don't care.
Sure.
I had such
It's
a
got some of
thrill.
Andrew Lloyd Webber's best songs, I
It
think.
totally is. I just like, I
Mhm.
was so immersed in it. Glenn Close was like fantastic. And this was like, because she had come back because she'd won a Tony for this, a
Yeah.
whole bunch of awards. And when she came back for that limited run, I'm so glad I got a chance to
Yeah.
see it. And
That's awesome. It feels like
it's
it's one of those
amazing.
projects that's long talked about, but it's just
Yeah,
not
I don't know.
materialized.
Yeah, I
But,
don't think it's ever been filmed with Glenn Close, right? There's never
No,
been like
no.
a full shot
But
of
it's
it.
one of those projects
No.
that just keeps getting brought up and
Yeah.
talked about. Of
She
like,
wants it too, but
yeah, is it going to happen? When is it going to happen?
I don't
And,
know. I mean, at some
and-
point she's going to age out, I think, maybe.
but that would
Maybe
even,
not.
I mean, can you really age out of Norma Desmond? I mean, that's the whole point of
Well,
the role, is that she's,
Well, yeah, but I mean, she's like, I mean, because she lost out on the talkies and stuff like that, and she's supposed to be really like a woman in her 50s and 60s. She's not like that old.
yeah, but
Like
but
Glenn
I
Close,
think you
like
could make her old
you could, if
because
Glenn
she's
Close can do it when
delusional
she's in her
character.
80s, I don't think they're ever
Yeah.
going to greenlight it though. Like I mean, I
It
love
would
Glenn
be
Close. She
it
can
would be
do anything now.
amazing if
Yeah.
they did. But you're right, it probably needs to happen in the next couple
It
of
happens to need
years.
sooner than later, so Glenn Close can still be able to do it.
Yeah.
That of course you could still do everything. I'm not trying to
Mm-hmm.
be ageist here, but there is a moment where you have to give it up. And I would love to see her do it one more time.
Yeah,
In
it
an
would be
actual
good.
movie.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
What do you have at 5?
Okay, this one I struggled with, but I ended up picking The Godfather Part 2.
Yeah.
Mainly because such a pivotal scene happened during New Year's during Cuba.
Yeah.
And that is when Michael kisses Fredo and he says, I know everything. I know what you did. And it's at that moment that Michael decides to kill Fredo. He decides what his actions are. He betrayed the family. He cannot go back. He waits until his mother dies, to complete this. But he's made that decision, and it's so tragic and it's so haunting. And I love the Godfather movies. I even like Godfather Part 3. It is flawed. The first 2 Godfathers are fantastic. It is better. Nothing from the book is referenced in the Godfather Part 2, but the first Godfather is better than the novel.
I've heard that. Yeah, they are absolutely outstanding films, incredibly well made. And there's some people debate, is the second one better or the first one better? I don't know. They're both excellent. It's just not really my thing, but I think they're super well
I can
done.
see if you're not into like gangster movies or crimes, but this really elevated the gangster movie at the time when it came out. It really made it so much more sophisticated, and really the gangster movies we have today that everybody loves in part are due to The Godfather and The Godfather 2, because Michael is always struggling not only to fit into his family, but to fit into society. Because at the time that this movie is set in the 30s and 40s, like Italians were not considered, they were like white trash. They're not considered anything. And in
Well,
the first
and
movie, he wants to like be up like Waspy. You know, his father
yeah,
wants him to be a politician, and he still wants to be part of like uh the white elite. Like he's not white
mhm,
enough for the white elite during this time period, you know, like in
right.
position in society and class. And
Well, and Michael keeps trying to deny who he is, but he
exactly,
cannot do it. And that's it. And
cannot
so
do
it's
it.
an excellent film. I do think if I had to pick, I'm more of a Goodfellas person than a
Oh, I can
Godfather.
see, yeah.
Just the
I can
pacing, but they're really good movies.
They're really good movies.
So
And
yeah.
it just shows to you too, because we also get the parallel scenes where you see Robert De Niro play a younger version of his father and how he came to be what he is. And you can
Yeah.
clearly see why his father, Vito, succeeded, even though they're gangsters, and was well loved, and where Michael fails.
Yeah.
You know, where Michael is just, he really is a terrible person at the end of the day.
Mhm.
But that scene is so important to the whole entire crux of the movie and to
Mhm.
what really it kind of Michael
Well, and they do
becomes
a
who he
good
truly is
job.
at that moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do a good job in that movie of making it insular. It's really
Yeah.
not it within the world of that movie. The obeying the Dawn is the correct choice,
Yeah.
and like they don't spend any time really, aside from maybe Diane Keaton's character a little bit, I guess, but
Yeah.
for the most part, they are about it's within this bubble.
It's so
It's
it
not
is
about like the effect of the mafia
yeah, totally.
on the outside world or anything like that. It's
But it is, you know, it's sort of there's a parallel between Connie and Diane Keaton's character. Like that scene that she has where she says she had the abortion and he throws her out. I mean, that's terrible, but she cannot live with this man anymore.
yeah.
And it's like after the mother dies and after the brother is murdered, Connie then is like, who's still so upset that Michael killed her husband in the first movie. She knows it.
Uh-huh.
And she's sort of been wayward. And that sort of brings her back into the family where she's like, no, I'm going to take mama's role. I'm going to be a good mom. I'm going to be a mother to my niece and nephew. I'm going to be 100% with Michael. And it's so the contrast between these two women where one cannot be it anymore. And then one with even the events, she knows what happens, but she is going to be at her brother's side. She's the family first. And it is the way he's the head of the family. And that's how it goes. And just the evolution of these characters who are sort of opposite as well in the first movie, and how they come like sort of full circle, where you wouldn't really see that, you know, where Connie's like, yeah, I know everything that's been done, but like family is family, which
Mhm.
leads to what she does with the cannoli in the third movie. You know, it's
Right.
all, but
Well,
it's a beautiful looking movie too.
yeah, no question. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, everything from costumes to cinematography,
Oh
all
yeah.
that. So my number 5 is where I have Bachelor Mother.
Uh,
I love this movie. It's really good about this woman who, so she gets, she's getting fired from her job, and then she sees this woman leaving a baby at the orphanage, and she feels bad. So she takes the baby because she doesn't want the baby to freeze out in the cold, and so she's taking care of the baby. And it's interesting that even in the 1930s, the different way that she's treated as a mother versus a single woman, and the way
yeah.
that that's kind of explored. And you have David Niven's character, who he's kind of checking in on her, and he can't like fire a single mother, it's kind of um, and
Yeah.
and it all culminates to this New Year's party where all the lies, because there's like lies on tops of lies on tops of lies, and that people think she's the mother, and it all kind of comes to fruition on at a New Year's Eve party. So yeah, it's a great movie. I feel like it's underappreciated as far as like the
Yeah.
classics.
It's been so long. I've seen that movie. I know I've seen that movie, but it's been so long since I seen it. I completely forgot about it, honestly, on this list. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. It's been so long. There's some, you know, you can't see everything, and then there's some
Yeah.
movies you just forgot you watched them.
But I think it holds up quite well. I did it for family movie night a bit ago, and I think it holds up quite well because I think even today we still have this sort of difference between the
Yep.
way that women are treated, whether they're as a like a mother versus a single mother versus a woman with no children. We do
Absolutely.
still have some of those things in our culture,
Yeah.
the way we treat people, which is interesting. And so yeah, it's really good. I almost had it in my classic rom-coms. That was just such a tight list. It was
So true.
really
So
hard.
hard. So hard.
Yeah, it was really hard, but I really do enjoy it. So what do you have at 4?
I have An Affair to Remember, the 1957 version.
Yeah.
It is the first remake. I also love the original film, The Love Affair from 1939.
I thought
With,
about this one, but isn't it Valentine's Day?
no, in An Affair to Remember, they're on the boat. They meet on the boat, Cary Grant and Deborah Carr. They're both involved with
Yeah.
other people, but they share a kiss on New Year's.
On the boat. Okay, so but they're
on the
supposed
boat.
to they're supposed to meet up again.
Yes, on the boat, they realize their love and everything on New Year's. So that plays an important role. And they agree
Okay.
that in 6 months they're going to meet up at the Empire State Building. I know this was a touch and go, but I think what happens on New Year's is very important because
Mhm.
they realize they love each other. They want to try to make it work, even though they have other
Mhm.
partners. And they
So-
manage to make it where they don't
Yeah.
look like jerks for it.
This is a good movie. The in between, I mean, this is melodrama, this movie. And the whole thing with her like becoming this like choral teacher for like the middle part is a little rough. But
right.
but yeah, I mean,
well,
there's
because
nothing
she
like
doesn't
that
show up.
ending.
Yeah, because he feels he's like makes all his promises. He's ready to move forward. 6 months later, he goes to the Empire State Building. And she's rushing, and she gets hit by a car and gets paralyzed.
And
she's
when
the most unluckiest woman.
Yeah. I was
and,
looking
he's
up.
painting.
It was the closest place to heaven.
Yeah, it's like, and of
So
course,
good.
it's like it does end at Christmas, so it's almost New Year's again.
Yeah.
It ends at Christmas where they reunite, and he doesn't know why, and she's like lying to him. She's like, I don't want to be a burden to him.
Yeah.
Because she's
and
paralyzed.
Then he sees the painting and he's looking
The
back and
painting
forth,
that
back
a woman,
and forth, back and forth.
That he knew
I
that a
was
woman in a
looking
wheelchair had
up.
bought it.
It was the
and then he's
closest
like,
place
I
to
don't
heaven.
care.
Yeah,
it's so great because Cary.
really
Listen,
good.
it's Cary
It's
Grant.
great,
Gotta
yeah.
put him on a list.
Yeah.
I love Deborah Kerr. I love Cary Grant.
Yeah, we really
But
should
I
do
do
a
love
whole
Love Affair
episode.
better though.
We should do a whole episode
yes.
of Cary Grant. I
Because
think that would be fun.
I know. But also, if you get a chance to see Love Affair with Charles Boyer and Irene Dune,
I haven't seen that one. Of course, I almost put Sleepless in Seattle on this list, but it's really more of a Valentine's movie than it is a New Year's movie.
I actually put that on my list.
Oh, you do?
I
mean, the whole thing, the climactic moment is on Valentine's Day.
It's true, I know, but I was struggling with this list, and I ended up putting it up there.
Okay, good.
Okay, I was like, it covers everything.
Yeah,
I should say
fair.
That's my number 3.
Okay,
since we jumped the gun
fair
there.
enough. Okay.
That's my number 3.
Well, my number 4 is Bridget Jones. We already talked about it. I just think it's really funny, and I mean, any parts that might seem dated is just her as a human with flaws. So I don't really think it is that dated.
It's just a movie from like the 90s. So they handle things a bit differently, but the premise behind it, the thought behind it is still like,
because it's 2001.
She's empowering herself in a way,
Yeah. So I really enjoy it. So you have
Sleepless in Seattle. I cheated a little bit with that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I know we talked about it too for the rom-coms, but it's still great. It covers a myriad of
it's a great
holidays,
movie.
But
it's a great movie. I just rewatched it for the AFI Passions project, and I'm down to I'm almost at the 20 final 20 for the AFI Passions, so I'm really excited about that.
I know you watched Now Voyager too. I was jealous of you. That was the first time you've seen it, right?
It was the first time I saw it.
Yeah. If I could go back to the first time I saw that movie.
That was a good movie. Yes. Yeah. So people want to check out the Patreon every week. I review a classic film exclusive for the patrons, and I'm really excited. Once I'm finished, I'm already in the works for what the next weekly project's going to be, and it's going to be super fun. So okay, so you already had your 3. My number 3 is When Harry Met Sally.
That's my number 2.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it has such an important New Year's scene,
Totally.
and literally, it's not because I'm alone. It's not because it's New Year's Eve. It's because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
Right.
Yes, and I do think that eventually we should do a Nora Ephron ranking. I think
Totally. I
that
was
that
just
would
thinking about that. I
there.
know. That
There's
would
a
be hard.
yeah, there's a couple that I haven't seen. I've never seen Mixed Nuts. I've heard it's terrible.
Mixed Nuts is the one that stars
Steve Martin.
I think I've seen that one. I think I
Yeah,
have.
I heard it's bad, but there's a few I haven't
Oh
seen.
wait,
But
that's the I believe that's no, I might be mixing it up because I know that because you mentioned Goodfellas, that Steve Martin does a movie where they're still playing the same character from Goodfellas, but I don't think it's Mixed Nuts. But
yeah, but anyway, and the only thing that I gives me, I mean, it's very high in my ranking. I love it. It's really great. I love over the years. I love Bruno Kirby and Carrie Fisher are so good.
yeah,
It has so many
such a great cast. Yeah.
iconic moments and so many funny moments. The only thing is I guess that halts me just a little bit in why it's in third is just that I don't know if they really satisfactorily answer the question. You
No.
know, I think it wimps out just a little bit. And I think if it was made now, I don't think they would end up together, actually. I think that we're a little bit braver with our rom-coms now. And
I would
I
hope that
think,
they would do that, like they would be brave like that, but I don't
yeah,
know.
because the whole question is, can men and women be friends? And I do think, as much as I'm, romantic, so I like that, and they have good chemistry, so it's fine. But like, I do think that it would have been kind of satisfying for the end of the question to be, yes, men and women
Yes.
can be friends. And here's an example. They thought sex was going to get in the way. It did for a little bit, but then they figured it out. So
Right.
that's the only reason I have it at third, but it's a wonderful film and such great writing and great
Totally.
performances. And so yeah, 3. You have it at 2, you said?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Well, my number 2 is Where I Have While You Were Sleeping.
Yes, of course.
It's a perfect film.
Great.
I just absolutely love and adore it. It's so funny. It's got so many iconic lines. It shows loneliness so well. And great performances, incredible chemistry. I just absolutely adore it.
Absolutely. I'm not the greatest Sandra Bullock fan, but she is so good at this one.
Peak Sandra Bullock.
Her, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So all right. I do wish that she would kind of come back to us. I mean, we got a little bit of with Lost City.
Oh gosh, it's so good. Yes.
Yeah, which was a lot of fun.
Do a sequel.
I know that, I mean, she's gotten her Oscar. She did all the drama and doing things like Bird Box and stuff. But come back to us, Sandy. Come back to us. You're so good at comedies, please.
Yeah, come back. Yeah, do a sequel to The Lost City.
Yes.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, it's good that I don't jinx it and it's a total fire dumpster.
All right. Well, what do you have at number 1?
Well, my number 1 is the Poseidon Adventure because that's how you bring in New Year's, by watching people drown, by screaming out no when Stella Stevens falls into the fire.
Well, I can't wait for you to listen to our episode. I think you'll really enjoy it. I think you're really.
Poor Shelley, Shelley Winters drowning. Spoilers alert! I gave a lot of spoilers to the Godfather parts of the Poseidon Adventure. I know there's people who haven't seen it yet. My bad.
I love the fact that she's like secretly this amazing swimmer because I connect with that because I'm not like amazing, but I'm like a pretty good swimmer. And
Did you make that swim, you think?
Oh yeah, no question.
Okay, but you wouldn't die then afterwards, right?
I wouldn't die.
Go. What a hero's way to go. Oh, people don't see Poseidon, don't see the remake.
And people would look at somebody like me and someone like Shelley Winters and be like, no, you can't be a good swimmer. Right. But they're like, yeah, I'm
hold my beer. Swimmer. Let me do this.
Exactly. Yeah, good choice. I had to go with The Apartment. I think it's one of the finest, is my number 1. I think it's one of the finest films ever made. It's one of the great American films. The incredible performances. It leaves you thinking, like, where would be my breaking point? How much would I be willing to let slide? Because on the surface it does seem fairly inconsequential. Like, who cares who's in his apartment, right? At first. but then it just keeps building and building and building, and he keeps ethically having to sacrifice again and again and again. I love that. Some people don't like the ending. I love the ending. The fact that you don't really know exactly it's a little bit ambiguous with the ending, which I think is great. And the relationship, the friendship that these two have is it's a good movie about friendship. And these are just layered characters, interesting characters. It's so beautifully made, so beautifully shot. It's just one of the finest films ever made, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. Yeah. So it had to be, and the reason why, even though I love Why You're Sleeping, I think that the apartment New Year's is way more like impactful
Totally.
to the story than
And it's really from 1960 when the time was changing and you could sort of tell these type of stories without innuendo. And you're still walking on that tight line, but they're so much more open about certain situations that you could talk. And you wouldn't have been able to have made the apartment like
during
in
the
the 30s or
during the
40s, not the way
co-op.
that it was made here. Yeah.
No. Yeah. So it's an excellent film.
Yeah.
And so there we go. That is our New Year's recommendations for all of
Yay.
you. Well, like I said, I'll put a short list in the description. You all should check it out. You can give us your picks. I'd love to hear that in the comment section. And if you have any suggestions for rankings you'd like us to do in the new year, we would love to hear that as well. And Terry, where can people follow you on social media, all that fun stuff?
I am on Twitter at Flurry Heaven.
Yes. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews, 5 stars. It really helps a lot people to find the podcast. And if you are listening on YouTube, please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Most of our viewers on YouTube aren't subscribers, so it really helps the algorithm a lot if you subscribe. So please do that. And also check out our Patreon group. We have a ton of fun and we get ideas from them, and we get suggestions for the rankings, and we have our watch alongs and other things. So please check out the Patreon. And then we have our merch store where you can get all kinds of fun Hallmark and movie inspired merch. So check that out. And thanks so much, everybody, and Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!